Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Hazel Adams. Thank you for joining me today. So I know it's been a little while since I've posted a long form video to YouTube. I've missed you all. I'm glad to be back. I have recently, just this past week, posted several clips from my live spirit talks. They're available, of course, on YouTube. And I've also posted a couple of them to Instagram and TikTok. I did also create a 1-minute short about the quantum leap, which is available here on YouTube, but also on Instagram and TikTok. So today I wanted to talk with you about probabilities, probable timelines, the Mandela Effect, parallel realities or parallel universes, and is this all really just a simulation? I was watching a YouTube here just a night or two ago about Philip K. Dick, who was a science fiction writer, and he focused very much on the idea of multiple worlds, parallel universes and worlds, inhabiting parallel universes and worlds, and time shifts and shifts in past timelines done from the present. He explored that a lot in his books, evidently, and was hitting on truths so much, evidently, that he was investigated and raided by the FBI and the CIA. So and so I was listening to what he had to say, and he was so accurate about so much of what he was saying about the nature of multiple realities, parallel universes. But he kept saying something that I just feel like I need to address, and that I strongly disagree with, and that is that there's this programmer, and that someone goes back and changes our past and our history so that you see it here, and it's been done to you and to your reality, and you see it a little bit here now and then, but that someone else is changing your story in the past and then affecting the present, of course. So I really felt the need to talk with you about that today. I'm going to start with just talking in a very simplified way about the reality of the electron in its nucleus, and there's a reason, because it is so descriptive of how we create our own realities and the possibilities, the infinite possibilities that are available to us. So again, simply, quickly, an electron exists around its nucleus in all its possible positions. That's called quantum superposition. It's also called epistemic ambivalence, where the body it exists literally in all of its possible states simultaneously. It is said to exist in one place only when we observe it to be in that one place. So you observe, where is the electron, you ask, and it says, I'm here, in various places around the nucleus. One school of physics, of quantum mechanics, says that the electron is really a wave of possibility. Think of radio waves. Think of a radio wave in your room. It's not located in any one place. It's everywhere simultaneously, and your tuner tunes to it where that receiver is. So one school of quantum physics says, and I think it's the Copenhagen theory, doesn't matter, says that when you observe the electron to be in one place, the wave function collapses, and that electron is indeed in just one place. There's another school called the many worlds theory, put forth by Hugh Everett in the 1950s, that says when you observe the electron to be in one place, oh, it's there, but reality also splits to where the electron is in all of its possible locations, right? So there's the many worlds theory. It just splits into virtually infinite multiple realities. And so the second one is the closest to what is really going on, and that's what I want to explain. All the positions, the locations of the electron still do exist. And as Hugh Everett said, when you observe one, yeah, you are experiencing that electron in that location, but all the other ones still exist. Why does that apply to us? Because Everything in the world, our cosmos, is a quantum system. It exists within the quantum universe. Electrons are quantum systems. People, we are quantum systems. Our countries are quantum systems. Our world is a quantum system. There's no limitation on the size of a quantum system. If you're in our reality, if you're in physical reality, and actually in non-physical reality, you are a quantum system. It's a quantum universe. That is how the God consciousness, source consciousness, expresses all of its infinite possibilities and stories and experiences them. So, as the observer, let's go back to our electron. As the observer, we observe, we ask, where is the electron? And it says, I'm right here. We observe that electron to be in that location around its nucleus. What's really happening is, as the observer, we are synchronistically vibrating with the version of the electron that is in that place that we observe it to be. The version of us that wants, needs, the words are not important here. The version of us that observes the electron to be in that specific location exactly synchronistically vibrates with the version of the electron in that location. There's a synchronicity there. We're always going to vibrate with the exact thing that matches where we are. And so we are literally in that scenario, which is how everything is being created. We are literally co-creating a version of reality in which that electron is located in that position, and we are observing that, we are agreeing that that electron is in that position. So we are co-creating a reality with that electron synchronistically. The same principles and rules that apply to that electron and ourselves as the observer apply to, again, all quantum systems. We as individuals exist in all our possible locations. Think states of being. We exist in all of our possibilities, past, present, and future, simultaneously at one time. That's that quantum field of probability or possibility that you may have heard of. We exist in all our possible states at one time, past, present, and future, as does the country we inhabit and the version of the country and what's going on that we inhabit, and the version of the world that we inhabit. Seth said that everything exists in all its possible states, all of its probable states or timelines, simultaneously in the infinite present moment. You, right now, are vibrating in the state, the location, if you were an electron, of you're watching this video. Maybe there's another vibrational version of you that didn't jump online, that's doing dishes or laundry, or that's going shopping or taking your kids to soccer. Maybe you have a sore back right now. Or maybe you have self-esteem issues because you had a difficult and somewhat abusive parent. Maybe you're in a state of financial insecurity because of choices you made in your past that you hold, or that the government has made for you with some of the things that are going on. But guess what? You also exist in a vibrational version of yourself where you never injured your back, or where it's already healed. There's a vibrational version of you that had a more well-intended, loving parent that helped you feel more loving and respectful and valuing of yourself. There's another vibrational version of you that, regardless of the choices that you made in official history on paper, that things are just magically working out for you, and whatever choices you made, it turned out to be perfect because they're going your way. We exist in all of our possible states simultaneously. And the thing is, those present states include the history that we hold within that state. The example I just gave you. In your present moment, there's a vibrational version of you that doesn't have a sore back because you never injured it. See what we just did there? In your present moment, there's another vibrational version of you that is very loving and respectful of yourself because you had a parent that taught you that you have value and are worthy of being treated with love and respect. Seth said that we actually rework our history all the time. We just don't consciously realize that we've done it because we keep shifting wherever we are now. Now we hold the history that goes with it. Do you see what I'm doing? Now it's always been this way. In my work as a transformational healing practitioner, because I know and can use these principles consciously, sometimes I find it valuable to go to it's as if it's always been this way. And that way we can consciously agree to keep the valuable lessons from the experience we had, but also have the emotional state as if we never went through that trauma, if that makes sense. Not only can we personally move to alternate versions of our past by inhabiting a different vibrational present. And how are we vibrating? What does that mean? With our beliefs about who and what we are, what's true for us, what past events happened to us that control where we are now, that dictate who and what we are now. When we realize we are completely free agents in the present moment, God, source consciousness, creating its experience through this perspective, through this pathway of self-realization, we start having a virtually infinite freedom to recreate our present and the past and future that it holds. We're not talking here about fear-based ego control. We're talking about vibrating with an awareness of our true identity and great creative empowerment to experience what we choose to experience, unmasked. Unobstructed by false stories and beliefs about, again, who we've been, what we've been through, what has to be true for us now because this is what was true yesterday. Same thing, not only for us, for individuals, but for the country and the world we inhabit. We can move to an alternate present reality where the world we inhabit is different and is as if it's had a different history. The history of the world we inhabit is included in our present state or location. That brings me to the Mandela Effect that you've heard so much about. To recap, even though Nelson Mandela in one version of reality lived through everything he went through and went on to lead South Africa, many people remember that Nelson Mandela died in prison. Another good example is, I think it's the little man maybe on the Cracker Jack box. A lot of people remember that logo as him having spectacles, whereas the logo, he doesn't have spectacles. There's many examples. The Berenstain Bears, a lot of people remember it being spelled A-I-N at the end, and some remember the spelling E-I-N at the end. There's many, many examples. Yes, there can be faulty memory involved, and I'm sure sometimes there is, but guess what? There isn't just one truth. And as more people, for instance, remember that Nelson Mandela died in prison, there are starting to be people that remember it being talked about in school, classes around that subject. They remember seeing newspaper and magazine headlines about Nelson Mandela dying. They're literally vibrating with a different version, a different timeline of how things went. And both are true, you guys. That's my point. Both are true. It's which one do you vibrate in? That's the one you're going to experience. And Seth had said that the process that we weave in and out of probabilities, timelines all the time. It's not just Seth, many people, Bashar, everybody says it because it's true. And he said, usually it's seamless. Usually you don't see where you flip from into one and out of the other kind of thing, but that sometimes you do see it and it comes to your attention like, hey, wait a minute. And we've all had those, and I could just do a whole segment just on those personally and for my friends and stories from my past and other people's past. But the point is, everything plays out somewhere. It's all there to be vibrated with and experienced. We are the choosers and the creators of what we vibrate with. Again, whether we're doing it consciously or not, that is what we're doing. We're creating our reality that way. That brings me to, so Is this all a simulation? I'll get back to Philip K. Dick. He was more than implying that there's some programmer in charge, that someone's gone in and, pulled a fast one and changed the past on us. It's not some other programmer. We are the programmer. We are it. And I'll come back to that in just a moment. Exploring the story going further. I'll come back to simulations and how we are the programmer in just a moment. We'll end with that. But first I want to bring up, there's a strong consensus version of our history, our reality, that's starting to emerge. Bashar and many others talk about it, that the human species is actually a hybrid, that we were genetically modified, that the original hominids inhabiting the earth were genetically modified by ETs, the Anunnaki, for their own reasons. And there's different stories about that and different versions of the stories. Of course there are, because there are different possible versions of the stories. But in any case, that our human history is going to be made very clear to us. It's already starting to come out through the cracks, in these stories coming out on YouTube and in other places. And that we will be given the entire full story by the ETs after they have made open, full contact with us. Bashar says somewhere in the next 5 years that there will be some sort of event. I'm not sure what it is, late 2026, early 2027, but somewhere in there will then happen open, full contact, and we will be given the full story of the human history, and that we will then fully be in a position to make choices about who we want to be as a species and a world. Going back to the simulation idea, and I'll have to put my glasses on. Honestly, this whole presentation came through so hot and fast this morning that it was going faster than I could scribble, pens, paper flying. And so I didn't even have room for everything on my little noteboard spots that I have to kind of help me remember. So I'm actually going to hold the rest of my notes here. It's not very much longer. It's important to remember that, again, we are coming into understanding our true unmasked identity. We are the God consciousness, source consciousness, creating the story that we inhabit and living, experiencing through this unique perspective, your perspective, my perspective, with our potentials on our individual unique pathways of self-realization. We are experiencing the story and the environment that we're creating and inhabiting. We are the creators, the choosers, not only of which version of the history, the whole history that is ours as the human species that we inhabit, but the version of the timeline, that how things have gone and are going, the version of the current world that we experience. And we create and choose our role within it. So at the macro level, we are the God consciousness holding all the stories, all possible infinite versions of all the stories. And at the micro level, we're vibrating with the version of the stories that we vibrate with and experiencing it from the inside. We're creating it from the macro level, and we are creating and experiencing it from the micro level, the individualized, intimate, personal level that we are right here now looking at each other. So there is no one else, there's no programmer that's doing things to your world, to your history, to your timeline. All the possible versions of all of those things exist. You are the one that is unconsciously and more consciously being aware of what you're vibrating with, what you're choosing, and why. And you are the creator, the chooser of your own version of the simulation at all times. And you are exactly synchronistically vibrating with the version of things in your personal life, in your country, in the world that match where you are. And you are simultaneously, synchronistically vibrating in and expressing one of the infinite possible storylines within the God consciousness, within the mind of God. It's just so important to realize that you are not your history or your story, your past. You are not the story. You are the holder of the story. Even when a most beloved, trusted resource, such as Bashar, says, your species was this, you were the hominids that were native to the planet, and the Anunnaki came and modified the genetics. And that's a great story, and we are, I think, pretty much going with it as a consensus. At least that's kind of the way it looks right now. We'll see. But point is, even that is still us accepting and saying, yeah, I'll show up and be part of that story. I'll play a role in that history, that story. It is still a story. Our existence is beyond all stories. In our true highest state of source consciousness, we are the holder of all stories, including the Anunnaki story that Bashar tells. Know who and what you truly are. Source consciousness. That's the clarification I wanted to make today. I would love to hear your comments and questions. I hope something I said helped. I will remind you that I do live spirit talks, which are group calls that are really an ongoing conscious co-creation awakening ascension class. I do them twice a month on the second and fourth Sundays of every month. There's a link below where you can get more information about that. I do have a Patreon membership that automatically signs you up for those spirit talks. And I invite you to join me for a 90-minute workshop intensive. It's Abundance, a conscious, vibrational, direct manifestation workshop. I'll leave a link to the information all about that below. And if you found this video helpful, please click like and subscribe. It tells the YouTube algorithm that this is a good channel to watch. Blessings. Have a wonderful day.